Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, abbreviated as ADHD, is a mental disorder affecting over 11% of children today, according to the research done by the Center for Disease Control in 2011. ADHD is a disorder that makes it difficult for individuals to focus on a task or line of thought without getting distracted. A person with ADHD is likely to have a greater difficulty controlling what they say or do, and often struggle to find an appropriate balance of physical activity in a given situation. There are several symptoms of ADHD which are broken into three separate categories: inattention, impulsivity, and hyperactivity. Inattention means the individual affected by ADHD gets distracted easily and has poor concentration or organizational skills. Impulsivity means the individual is more prone to interrupting and taking unnecessary risks. Hyperactivity makes it hard for individuals to slow down, and they tend to constantly talk and fidget, or have a difficult time staying on task. These categories of symptoms each point back to the three specific variations of the disorder: inattentive, hyperactive, impulsive, and combined. Let's take a close look at each of the individual types. Inattentive ADHD is characterized by easily missing details, getting bored and distracted, having trouble focusing on a specific task, difficulty organizing thoughts, difficulty learning new information, and poor listening comprehension. People with this type of ADHD tend to lose things often and appear to process information slower and less accurately than normal, as well as having difficulty following instructions. A person with inattentive ADHD typically shows more signs of inattention than impulsivity. Issues with impulse control can also be a contributing factor, including the previously mentioned symptoms. According to the National Research Center on ADHD, more girls are diagnosed with incentive ADHD than boys are. Hyperactive impulsive ADHD appears in the form of fidgeting, restlessness, difficulty sitting still, constant talking, touching and playing with objects even when inappropriate, trouble engaging in quiet activities, impatiences, acting out of turn, not thinking about the consequences of actions, and blurting out inappropriate comments. Hyperactive impulsive ADHD children can tend to be disruptive in classroom settings, making learning more difficult for themselves as well as other students. How does ADHD affect the brain? ADHD is primarily known to slow the brain's growth in children as low as 5% smaller than normal children, but also affects actual multiple parts of the brain's functions. The regions affected are the frontal lobe, responsible for motor function, impulse control, spontaneity, judgment, emotional response, and attention, to name a few. According to the ADHD and You website, studies have determined the disease impact on three different subregions of the prefrontal cortex. The dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, which maintains attention. The impairment may lead to symptoms of inattention or distraction. The right inferior prefrontal cortex, which regulates behavior. The impairment may lead to symptoms of impulsivity and hyperactivity. The ventromedial prefrontal cortex, which regulates emotional responses. The next affected brain region is the temporal gray matter, which is a group of neuron cells that assists parts of the brain and responsible for memory, speech, and muscle control. Next is the caudate nucleus, which plays an important role in the learning process of the brain. It helps with storing and processing memories, but also acts as a feedback processor, which is necessary in making actions and decisions based on previous experiences. Furthermore, the caudate nucleus is vital in the development and use of language, but also communication skills. The effects of ADHD on the caudate nucleus would be a delay in response making again on the individual in actions and decisions. The caudate nucleus. The brain's hemispheres contain multiple caudate nuclei, which are situated in the middle and close to the basal ganglia, near the thalamus, deep in the brain and close to the midbrain. Each nucleus can be described with heads connected to a body and a thin tail that tend to be C in shape. Cerebellum. The cerebellum processes information from the sensory systems and the spinal cord to control motor movements. The impact of the disease would be difficulty in performing physical activities. Finally, studies have also shown a chemical imbalance in the brain being a result of ADHD. Low level of dopamine specifically, a neurotransmitter, resulted in stiffness of muscles, tremor, and irresistible urges to move while at rest. This is better known as restless legs syndrome. Furthermore, the low level of dopamine has been linked to attention, concentration, motivation, and depression, but also psychosis, paranoia, and aggression. It is important to set up daily tasks with daily schedules to eliminate forgetfulness. It is also valuable to have a consistent and healthy diet, exercise, and a sleep pattern.